Good evening. Many thanks for joining us on Nationwide, reaching you live on the network service of the NTA. I'm Ruth Aguele. Let's begin on a security note. The new Chief of Defence Staff, Major General Lucky Rabo, says the present service have come with renewed vigour and determination to address the lingering security challenges, promising that military operations will be made in such a way to ensure quick restoration of peace. Well, the CDS stated this when he led the newly appointed service chiefs on an operational visit to Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. Let's hear more from Memuna Garba.
The Chief of Defence Staff, Major General Lucky Rabo, in company of Chief of Army Staff, Major General Ibrahim Attahiru, Chief of Air Staff, Air Vice Marshal Isiaka Oladayo Amao, and Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Awal Zubairu Gambo, arrived Maiduguri for the first operational visit less than a week from their appointment by the President. The visit by the service chiefs was to assess the security situation in the northeast region with a view to addressing it. Hence, they met with various commanders for briefing at the Military Command and Control Center, Operation Lafia Dole. While intimating Governor Babagana Umara Zulum on the purpose of their visit, General Erabo assured to actively engage other security operatives in routing the insurgents and appealed for understanding and support of the citizenry to enable them conclude the task. Governor Babagana Umara Zulum emphasized the need for continued and sustained military operations in order to stabilize the region and called for the presence of maritime component on the shores of the Lake Chad.
Effective collaboration with our neighbors is very critical because the war has taken an international dimension.
Meanwhile, the Chief of Defence Staff has addressed troops where he delivered the President's message that their welfare is his priority and assured to improve on the operational engagement, urging them to continue with their gallantry.
There's going to be a new focus on the operation, and I would like to assure the general public that the team spirit that exists amongst the troops in the theater is what will be fostered to meet the operational objectives.
Major General Lucky Erabo had used the visit to debunk rumors of Chibok girls escaping from the custody of the insurgents. They visited wounded soldiers receiving treatment at 7th Division Hospital. The service chiefs had sought the fatherly blessings of the Shehu of Borno, Abubakar Ibn Umar Garbe Al-Amin El-Kenemi, and assured him to do everything within their powers to restore lasting peace to Borno. Responding, the Shehu assured them of traditional rulers and Borno citizenry's unwavering support to end the insurgency. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
Cutting-edge technology being employed by the police and crime management using the Crime and Incident Database Center is fulfilling the force desire to keep in tune with 21st century policing. Security correspondent Francis Form reports that the system has the capacity of storing 80 million fingerprints with chances of expansion.
On the first floor.
It is a typical day at the Crime and Incident Database Center, inaugurated by President Buhari about 2 years ago. The ingeniously built center is a technologically driven innovation that is helping the police in combating crimes and criminality.
The system is a multi-purpose system. This system is also powered to be able to do what we call e-policing.
Now, demographic biometric capturing of criminal suspects and all persons of interest to the law enforcement is done with ease.
One of the very unique features of this system is that it's not just fingerprint dependent, it will also capture your fingerprint, it will capture your palm print, it will capture your iris, it will capture your photographs, and it will do a thorough facial recognition.
Crime incidents are now reported to the police without having to visit the police station.
Having this equipment deployed in Abuja has really assisted us in terms of our investigative or crime fighting capacities. And as such, it makes the work a bit easier when you are checking on the backgrounds of persons you suspect or during the course of investigations.
Records of cases lodged at the police stations are kept and progress monitored up to when charged court. With this, the police say it is impossible for a suspect to move from one location to the other and still commits the same offense. Francis from NTA News.
The new chairman of National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, General Buba Marwa, in his maiden address to officers and men, recently gave a marching order to the agency's commands and formations to commence a nationwide cleanup of black spots for illicit drug peddling and abuse. Well, to this effect, the FCT command of the agency has commenced in earnest with the raid of strategic spots in the nation's capital. Ilyasu Onotu-Yakobo reports.
There is a new sheriff in town in the NDLEA, and the resultant hit is already telling on the no-good doers. The first port of call was the Karo Abattoir, notorious for the negative trade in stock. A handful of illicit drug peddlers and users were rounded up. Then the Gwagwalada Park at the Area 1 hilltop, as well as Durumi Axis and the old livestock market at the Apo roundabout, with a team also dispatched simultaneously to Wuse Zone 4 area. FCT commander of the agency, Hamisu Lawal, said part of the mandate from the chairman is that the command must rid the nation's capital city center of all forms of drug-related challenges. With the mandate, he said the chairman has supported the command with adequate deployment of manpower and logistics to ensure a smooth success of the operation.
I'm only echoing what the chairman chief executive said. He said a line has been drawn. It's either you're on our side or the other side. So time has come for you to give off the trade. And that is the word he gave. And I think I have no any other word to echo that word.
Among the suspects intercepted during the raid at the abattoir in Karo were these two men in military camouflage.
Well, like every other organizations, the military do a very disciplined organization. Unfortunately, you can always have a wayward. But at the moment, we've not really interrogated them. So we presume we saw some people in military uniform. So is the investigation as it progresses will confirm to you and to the general public that these are military personnel. But for
Commander
now,
Hamisu Lawal reiterated that the chairman has directed that the operation must be sustained until sanity is restored to the city. Ilyasu Onotu-Yakobo, NTA News.
The federal government has promised to ensure full implementation of its resettlement centers initiative so that internally displaced persons across the country will have befitting accommodation in their respective states. Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Garba Mohammed, disclosed this when he flagged off the distribution of food and other items to IDPs in Guma local government area of Benue State. Hosseini Mohammed Isa reports.
The internally displaced persons who are taking refuge in Daudu 2 camp were displaced from various communities in Guma local government area of Benue State. To alleviate their sufferings, federal government through the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons has provided food and non-food items as a palliative measure to reduce their hardship. The distribution, which was done amidst compliance to COVID-19 protocols, put smiles on the faces of the IDPs.
We are very happy. We appreciate for what the National Commission has done to us. In fact, really, they show concern.
Representative of the Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Simon Omachoko, says more items will come the way of IDPs in the state.
When the implementation of the 2021 budget starts, we are coming with more items that will take care of the increased number of POCs in the IDP camps.
The camp is hosting over 2,000 IDPs, including children and the aged.
The IDPs have been here for about 2 years now, and the distribution of these relief materials no doubt will go a long way in cushioning the hardship they are forced to live with. From Ipam IDPs camp here in Benue State, I am Hussein Mohammed Isa, NTA News.
Yobe State Governor and Chairman APC Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee has charged members of the party to observe the COVID-19 protocol as the party commenced its membership registration and revalidation exercise. Governor Buni in a statement said the call became necessary for the party to ensure that the exercise is conducted in compliance with government's directives on COVID-19. He also explained that as the ruling party, APC would always support and work towards the success of all policies and programs of the government. The statement assured that the party has adequate materials and would provide the time needed to ensure everyone is registered, and cautioned members who may attempt to deny others from registering. And let's bring you update on COVID-19. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has confirmed 685 new cases of COVID-19 in the country. Now, the new cases of the virus from 16 states. A breakdown of the cases indicates that Lagos has 355, Kaduna 58, Nasarawa 46, Kano 40, Akwa Ibom 33, Katsina 26, Ogun 25, Osun 21. Others are Rivers 16, Edo 15, Oyo 13, Ondo 12, Borno 11, Ekiti 9, Kebbi 3, and Plateau 2. Now, this brings the total number of confirmed cases to 131,242, 104,989 discharged, and 1,586 deaths recorded so far. Plateau State Governor Simon Lalong has charged stakeholders of the party to mobilize and attract new members to its fold at the ongoing revalidation exercise of the APC. Governor Lalong was speaking during the party's stakeholders meeting at the Government House in Jos. Winret Sylvanus Lott will tell us more.
The meeting, presided over by the state APC chairman, discussed extensively on ways of ensuring successful conduct of the party registration in the state.
The registration officers are responsible for the registration of all members at the polling unit by issuing the membership registration form as well as entering the details in the membership register. Issue temporary membership slip upon enrollment.
Use our resources, must use our time to go out and ensure that people are properly registered.
Governor Lalong charged members of the party to fully participate in the exercise and also mobilize existing and intending members for the exercise.
As we set out to validate and register more members into our party, we should realize that it is our works that will speak for us.
The governor said the party needs to consolidate on its gains over the years, urging them to abide strictly by the party's guidelines. In Jos, Winret Sylvanus Lott, NTA News.
In Lagos State, we hear that the housing deficit in the state has again been reduced as Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu commissioned additional 216 home units in 2 local government areas of the state. Musa Toilet reports that the National Veterinary Research Institute office complex was part of the projects delivered by the governor.
The housing units commissioned in Lekki Phase 2 comprised 84 units of 28 2-bedroom and 28 3-bedroom apartments on expanse land of 1.8 hectares. Ikmori, under the Surulere local government, took delivery of 132 home units comprising 88 2-bedroom units and 44 3-bedroom units sitting on 2.19 hectares of land. The housing units realized through public-private initiative are equipped with modern infrastructure. These include water reticulation plants, central sewage treatment plants, community centers, open recreational areas, and car parks.
With a combined 216 housing units commissioned by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in Lekki Phase 2 and Ikmori, the governor says the dividends of democracy are being delivered in the housing sector.
It's a deliberate attempt that we are spacing out development in the state. And like I did mention, we've done some bit in Lagos West. Everything we've done today is Lagos Central. We're also planning to go to Lagos East in different forms of development, and so we're going around like that.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu then proceeded to Ikoyi, where he commissioned a suspended 2-floor office complex, a 2-floor laboratory, and a block of 4 2-bedroom flats at the National Veterinary Research Institute.
Vaccines is what we're looking for. Even if the vaccine is not for COVID-19 today, it could be a vaccine for another disease that we have not seen that could come tomorrow.
The completion of this laboratory is very important to us because it will help us to take care of the livestock in the southwest region.
The National Veterinary Research Institute complex was built through the collaboration between the federal government and Lagos state government. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
Up next is a break for us. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Borno better school for last giddy. Not be all this on a rugged yes school for Hijab. I don't know for you.
Second, it's called Oja Village. Kadesi. We know happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. We are trying, Shao. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I mean, I talk with that now.
Not for me. Not for me because of Pamio.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you. In your living room, office, and everywhere, anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs, and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview channel 264, or live streaming via www.visiontv.co.uk. Application for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
Welcome back. Gas expansion project for economic growth. Now, how will that work? Let's join Michael in Lagos for that detail and all the stories. Michael.
Thank you, Ruth. Nigeria, as a developing economy, has invested massively in the development of key economic sector to drive sustainable growth with little attention given to the gas industry. Abolade Salami in this report takes a look at the huge opportunities embedded in the sector for economic gains.
Natural gas in Nigeria over the years has not been fully harnessed for economic gains, as more than 324 billion cubic feet of gas, equivalent to $1 billion in revenue, which could as well generate 3,000 megawatts of electricity daily, was fled in 2017. In an attempt to diversify so as to overcome the crude oil price volatility that mostly affects economic performance and expand the energy value chain for economic growth, the Central Bank of Nigeria in September offered 250 billion naira intervention facility as loan to companies willing to invest in gas. The initiative targeted at stimulating investment in the development of infrastructure to boost domestic gas resources for economic growth. Energy players note will aggressively drive more revenue.
By January this year, it became evident to Mr. President, who is a substantive Minister of Petroleum Resources, that we simply can't continue running the hydrocarbon industry the way we've been running for the last 70 years.
As the 9th largest gas reserves country in the world, with over 188 trillion cubic feet of gas, which are exported as LNG, Nigeria now stand a better chance of reaping more of economic benefits and creation of jobs with the federal government initiative for petrol vehicles to run on LPG.
With the right mindset which is available now and the right team, we can make it fly in the use of gas as an alternative, either LPG, CNG or LNG. These are gas that we have locally and they don't need to be imported.
It is expected that the various gas expansion policies of the government will drive the needed economic and social benefits. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
The reality caused by the coronavirus pandemic is changing the spectrum of things, while emergency responders in recognition of these are brazen up to innovation to meet the mandate. These new methods were highlighted at a 3-day basic first aid recertification course for emergency responders organized by the National Emergency Management Agency in collaboration with the Nigerian Red Cross Society in Lagos. Imolia Otokede has details.
First aid is the initial help given to a casualty in an accident or sudden illness before or after he or she is taken to the hospital for secondary intervention in a serious situation. However, the intervention and procedural techniques administered on casualties are gradually changing due to the coronavirus pandemic, which has changed how things are done, especially with regards to issues of cardiopulmonary resuscitation. This training is therefore to equip emergency responders with the new techniques in vogue.
Most times we find gaps between the responding agencies while we are trying to apply first aid on victims and related people around the disaster scene. Previously, we don't mind all the process of resuscitation, but the system has changed.
We don't want to have direct contact with the casualty. So we just look at the rise and fall of the chest instead of trying to listen to the sound of breath, and that will be enough to ascertain if the casualty is breathing or not.
A simulation exercise to assess the level of participants' knowledge about the new techniques for crowd control and evacuation of victims from the accident scene to the ambulance were taught.
Be able to see what to do, how to attend to the victims at the scene of incident as quick as possible.
NEMA is hopeful that the training will enable them work more effectively with other emergency agencies while on field. In Lagos, Imolia Ayotokide, NTA News.
We have more stories on Nationwide, and Ruth is still in Abuja for details.
Thank you, Michael. The Supreme Court has reserved judgment on the appeals of the dissolution of local government council executives in 2015 filed by the People's Democratic Party. Dissolved local government chairmen and councillors in Katsina State, Austin Ayembe, has more to tell us.
There are 3 separate appeals filed before the Supreme Court by the appellants, all praying for nullification of the dissolution of the local government council by the governor of Katsina State, Bello Masari, in June 2015. Following the submission of brief of arguments by parties, counsel to the respondents, Liman Senior Advocate of Nigeria, urged the court to consolidate the appeals since they have the same prayers. This was not objected to by counsel to the appellants, Abdul Hamid Mohammed. Consequently, the court set aside a date for judgment to be communicated to all parties.
We suggested to their lordships that it is better that the appeals are harmonized so that we'll have a judgment which there won't be conflict between judgment in one and judgment in the other.
One of the central issues now to be determined is the constitutionality of that dissolution, or whether the allegation of misappropriation, which is a criminal offense, can now be determined by a committee, of the State Assembly.
The dissolved local government chairmen and more than 300 councillors are pressing for the declaration of the action of the governor null and void and an order for their reinstatement. From the Supreme Court in Abuja, Austin Ayembe, NTA News.
Still on the judiciary scene, the trial of former chairman of the defunct Pension Reform Task Team, Abdurrashid Maina, has been adjourned to February 19th, 2021, following an application for adjournment by the defendant's new counsel, Sani Katu SAN, on the basis that he needed adequate time to prepare for Maina's defense. Though prosecution counsel Salisu Abubakar opposed the motion, the court, guided by Section 396 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, granted Maina's prayer. Maina is facing 12-count charges of alleged fraudulent conversion of public funds to the tune of about 3.1 billion naira. He is currently in correctional custody. The Nigerian Customs Service has been alerted of a plot by economic saboteurs to smuggle 19 trucks of decomposed and poisonous rice from the Republic of Benin into the country. President, National Association of Nigerian Traders, Ken Ukawa, who raised the alarm on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria, lamented, alongside other guests, the influx of foreign rice in the country with the reopening of the land borders. Lydia Sampson reports.
Quest for sufficiency in rice production received a boost with initiatives such as the Anchor Borrowers Program and the eventual closure of land borders to guard against smuggling. But there is apprehension that tons of foreign rice trapped at the borders are making their way into Nigerian markets nationwide.
About 19 trucks of rice that have been abandoned in Benin Republic since the closure of the border. There is a problem. The problem is not the rice itself, but the poisonous nature of this rice as we speak. Now, there is an argument, a debate within them. Should we export this or should we bear this and destroy it? And there is a sense that we're getting that they are now exporting, moving this to Nigeria. And this is very, very dangerous to Nigerians.
The Nigerian Customs Service, on its part, urged Nigerians to volunteer information against smugglers who are not relenting in their illicit activities.
I will not sit here and say rice smuggling is not taking place in some approved routes here and there. And that has been the continuous challenge. That has been what we are fighting. That has been the reason why we call on Nigerians to support us, especially those who receive motorbikes and handsets to monitor our movement and call smugglers and tell them where we are, where we are heading to, where the smugglers should pass through, the bush, the creeks, how they will join the next village and hit the highway to the city.
Other guests advocated stringent measures to discourage influx of foreign rice.
We have to go beyond customs, seize 2 trucks of rice, 3 trucks of rice, come on TV, burn it, and everybody goes home happy. When you are caught, we don't only burn the rice or destroy the rice, you are held accountable. The law will come on you.
Apart from engagement in trying to dissuade them from being the launch pad for smuggling, it's also to see how we can encourage them to also look inwards and see how they can embark on local production of some of these food products, so that they will legitimately can meet the ECOWAS and AFCTA requirements and then come into the country as legitimate products.
Citizens are encouraged by the guests to patronize homegrown rice, which is fresh and nutritious, as against the imported rice, which is stored in warehouses for decades using poisonous preservatives. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Peace and Security Summit for the Northeast holds in Maiduguri. Mohammed is already standing by to bring us details. Mohammed.
Thank you, Ruth, and welcome to Maiduguri. Towards ensuring peace building and bringing lasting peace to the security challenges confronting the Northeast and other parts of the country, workable solutions are also required from other stakeholders apart from military solutions. This formed part of messages at the opening ceremony of a 2-day Northeast Peace and Security Summit organized by Northeast Civil Society Forum in Maiduguri. Here are more details of the report. The Northeast Peace and Security Summit, with the theme Developing the Civil Society Agenda, #We Are on This Together, brought together security agencies, the police, federal and Northeast state governments and their MDAs, as well as the traditional institution and the organized labor such as NLC, NUJ and NBA, among others, with other participants joining via Zoom. The organizers, Northeast Civil Society Forum, kickstarted the conference with key objectives such include to document concerns of the civil population and stakeholders, to develop strategies of building sustainable peace in the region, alongside identify impediments and recommend ways forward.
For the first time in the history of the region, an independent citizens-driven roadmap to peace process was developed.
Borno State Governor Babagana Umar Zulum, whose keynote address was delivered by Chief of Staff Professor Isa Hussein Marate, explained that good governance through transparency and accountability and provision of basic infrastructural needs to citizens, including job creation, is central to peace building beyond military approach, which the government is pursuing with the resettlement of IDPs.
Instead of the short-term solutions, we have started looking at intermediate and long-term solutions, more of permanent solutions.
Other messages of goodwill came from the 5 other states of the Northeast, United Nations Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Activities and partners, and the traditional institution who called for inclusion of women and local communities in the center of finding path to lasting peace and constitutional roles for traditional leaders. In an effort to curb the spread of the second wave of COVID-19 in Borno State, United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, has handed over personal protective equipment and life-saving commodities to Borno State government from the One United Nations COVID-19 Basket Response Fund. Yagun Subukar reports.
United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, in its quest to strengthen health systems, partners government in improving the lives of humanity. It is in the light of this that the UNFPA donated surgical masks and examination gloves, among other personal protective equipment, to Borno State Ministry of Health and Primary Health Care Development Agency as part of its support in curbing the scourge of second wave of COVID-19. United Nations Population Fund Northeast Coordinator Christian Sabon said the donation is geared towards encouraging health workers to protect themselves while saving lives amidst the pandemic, and pledged the organization's support to the state government.
As we have always been at the side of the government to ensure that the healthcare workers are safe.
Representative of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Director, Medical Services, Dr. Buba Michele Saidu, appreciated the continuous support of the UNFPA.
In this age of COVID-19, you will understand that this will go a long way in terms of relieving some problems that are existing there.
Director, Emergency Medical Response, State Ministry of Health, Dr. Babashir Mohammed, assured of judicious distribution to health facilities across the state. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subukar, NTA News.
Those are the stories from Maiduguri. Nationwide will continue in Abuja.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Washing away of property, farmland and worst cases, drowning of people have been common happenings during the rainy season in parts of the country. And so with the dry season now, what is happening to most of the flood and erosion prone areas? Wisdom Jacob, who has been monitoring the situation, reports on efforts to stem the tide in Uyo metropolis before rainy season.
Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida Avenue, popularly known as IBB, and its environs over the years have been flooded with devastating effect during rainy seasons. The Akwa Ibom State government, in collaboration with Nigeria Erosion and Watershed Management Project NewMap, assisted by the World Bank, recently awarded the contract for the construction of drainage system that will control the flooding in some part of the state, including IBB. The project, which commenced from IBB Avenue, cut across Atana Fort, C Division of the Nigeria Police Force, and empties itself at Oboridum, Ibesikbo, in Ibesikbo, Sultan local government area. To residents, the project is a welcome development.
Is constructed. It will relieve us. That water will not be there, and that road will be motorable as it's supposed to be. Apart from that, in every construction that comes like that, you know, there are other side benefits, as in some of these boys in the streets will have some jobs to do.
Complete that
the place will be good and development will, like students, more people will come here to register. But because of the place, it was very bad that people cannot access these points, even business.
New students, because that's one of the things that will be giving people this discouragement over the school. They say the school is not really popular, all those things, because of if the school cannot take good advantage of the school entrance. But for now, I think after the completion, I think it will move better and modernized for people to be coming.
Especially when doing races in vehicle, cannot go through it because this place is always waterlogged. Out to the main road there, out to IBB.
Measures to cushion the effects that may arise at where the flood water empties itself will be taken care of on completion. They are, however, calling on the contractor handling the project to deliver the job and schedule. In Uyo, Wisdom Jacob, NTA News.
43,000 personnel of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps have been deployed into the Agro Rangers unit aimed at achieving food sufficiency across the nation, while the additional reinforcement came to the fore at a media briefing by the Acting Commandant General Kelechi Madu. Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila reports.
Protection of critical national assets is the main responsibility of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, which explains their success in stemming the tide of oil bunkering and vandalization of power, oil and other facilities. Now, the NSCDC feels farmers who provide food security to the nation also need to be protected, especially as activities of bandits threatens the country's drive to be self-sufficient in food production. With the redeployment of personnel into the Agro Rangers unit, the NSCDC wants to give confidence to farmers to grow more food for the nation.
Our men of the Agro Rangers have been restoring confidence to the farmers, and these farmers have started going back to their farms because they escort them to the farms in the morning and lead them back in the evening.
The NSCDC says it has already mapped out strategies similar to the emergency operations in the protection of other critical infrastructure and national assets to make the Agro Rangers unit successful. The impact of the new unit is expected to be instant as the country is set for the 2021 cropping season. In Abuja, Abraham Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
Port Harcourt will be our next stop, and Dipabari will guide us. Dipabari.
Welcome to Port Harcourt. The current dry season has again brought to the fore the incident of soot alongside its attendant environmental and health challenges confronting residents in Rivers State. Concerned residents insist unless the government takes decisive actions, these may not be an end in sight amidst its associated risk. Kingsley Amaji reports.
The thick, dark, cloudy weather is once again enveloping the atmosphere in Port Harcourt, manifesting chemical dusty particles on fiscal property. An environmentalist, Dr. Vincent Welle, is worried about the chemical deposits given their environmental and health risks.
There have been no time the soot had disappeared because the activities leading to it is still there. At this period, people who are very vulnerable are the children and the elderly.
People are dying here every day because of the soot. They inhale the soot and the soot settle with them and settle in their respiratory organ, and before you know they died. But we are thinking that the federal government giving licenses to modular refineries will reduce the soot in the Niger Delta.
And our security agency, most of them are aware. If you check from our waterways, you will see those boys there. They are hanging there with their badges, and the security are seeing them.
By the prompt action of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, through our intelligence, we were able to discover this particular dump established here in residential area, which is not acceptable.
To others, the takeoff of modular refineries in the region is key to ending illegal refining activities in the Niger Delta region. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
The Cross-River State government is making good its partnership to boost job creation in agriculture by signing a memorandum of understanding with an agro-allied and food organization. Paul Abel has details.
In November 2020,
The Cross-River State Government, Central Bank of Nigeria, and an agro-allied and food company entered a partnership to create 2,000 jobs in agriculture. This memorandum of understanding being signed is the legal fulfillment of that partnership, as the state government provides 5,000 hectares of land and a space at the Industrial Park, Calabar, to establish its factory. Farmers are expected to be engaged in different value chains of rice, maize, soybean, cotton, and groundnut to encourage export and develop other businesses.
These are all geared towards employment creation, taking our youths off the streets of idleness, and improving our own economic base.
This project alone will engage thousands of farmers, and I will say categorically thousands of cross-bearians who will be employed directly and indirectly across the value chain.
The food company is expected to move to site soon. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
We are done from here. More reports from Sokoto right after the break. Good evening.
Life can be very eventful. We curiously expect things to happen, even when we don't know what. Our human nature makes us like and repost lots of information. Some are unverified, inciting anger and hate. Sometimes innocently, other times the urge to break it first. This, in most cases, has caused destruction in many nations.
Special focus on the game changer, His Excellency Governor Abdullahi of Nasarawa State. Broadcasting in a digital economy, Maxwell Logo gives an insight. This edition also features Nancy Naji of AIT, a name synonymous with business. Meet the NCDC boss, Dr. Chikwe Ihekweazu. TV Guide, your indispensable companion, also x-rays the relevance of social media in the modern society. Meet some TV professionals who have impacted their spaces and other inspiring stories in sports, entertainment, and lots more. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or NTA stations nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
NTA News 24. A 24-hour news station brings to you news and happenings 7 days a week.
News at 10 a.m., news update at 11 and 1 p.m.
News desk at 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. and late evening news at 11 p.m.
Follow us on any of our platforms and keep abreast of events and current affairs within and outside our shores.
We are on DSTV channel 419, GoTV channel 46,
StarTimes channel 101 and Free TV channel 703. Join us.
A food crisis is brewing, and our tables will soon be empty if the world's population continues to increase and food production decreases.
We're not producing enough for our population.
I will do better if I can get source, financial source.
Catch new episodes of Farm and Fortune every Monday at 5:30 p.m. on NTA Network.
Welcome to Sokoto on Nationwide. Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar has charged district heads in Sokoto to be vigilant and security conscious to report any suspicious character to the authorities concerned. He He was speaking at the periodic meeting with the district heads at his palace. Sheikh Muhammad Dati reports.
The periodic meeting with the district heads is aimed at discussing issues and happenings within their domain. Issues discussed at the meeting include security at the eastern districts and enrollment drive at the grassroots. The Sultan called on the district heads to support government-oriented programs for the betterment of the masses. District head of Binji was directed by the Sultan to brief his colleagues on the issue of enrollment drive by government, which is targeting 90,000 pupils in the state. Similarly, Hadiza Saleh Yusuf, coordinator Girl Child Concerns, briefed the Sultan and the district heads on the girl child education under their initiative. The program is designed to work with district heads to ensure the education of the girl child up to secondary level. 5 states that include Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, Yobe, and Borno are to benefit from the program. In Sokoto, Sheikh Muhammad Dati, NTA News.
Stakeholders in Zamfara state-owned education sector have been tasked to work assiduously for the successful implementation of the Keeping Girls in School project in the state. This is the focus of an advocacy visit to the state by the national team leader of the project. Haliru Muhammad Umar has more.
Despite their potential for success, many girls face barriers that inhibit their ability to stay in school and achieve their goals in life. This is largely attributed to gender-related challenges such as household responsibilities, social norms, as well as sexual and reproductive health. Keeping Girls in School, KGs, is a project aimed at reducing the number of girls drop out of secondary school and increase the transition of the girls from the lower to the upper secondary education by addressing the identified barriers. The project, supported by the Sultan of Sokoto Foundation, is being supported in Zamfara, Sokoto, Kebbi, Borno and Yobe states in collaboration with religious and traditional rulers.
Youth groups and champions shall advocate for and support traditional and religious leaders to ensure every girl has the opportunity to complete at least 12 years of education.
Establishing or supporting Girls Club, training of teachers to provide life skills and counseling as mentors, and developing income-generating activities are some of the priorities of Keeping Girls in School project. Meanwhile, Anka and Bakura local government areas have been selected for the pilot project in Zamfara state, as an advocacy training was organized for traditional and religious leaders in the areas to properly acquaint them with the concept of the project and the vital role they are expected to play towards ensuring its successful implementation. In Gusau, Haliru Muhammad Umar, NTA News.
And that is our package from Sokoto. The news will continue with Ruth in Abuja. Good evening.
Thank you, Asmao. Hijab, an Arabic word literally used for specific Islamic mode of dressing, which reflects decency. For a long time, organizations, including the coalition of Muslim organizations in Nigeria, advocating for more recognition and use of hijab in public places. Salwal Ibrahim Khalil reports.
The hijab, a mode of dressing that requires covering of the head and other sensitive parts of the body for the Muslim woman, as enshrined in the Holy Quran. The hijab is today becoming a global phenomenon. While many countries have adopted the use of hijab, some are not allowing this mode of appearance by women, the attitude termed as hijabophobia. 18-year-old Asia recounts how she was discriminated because of her hijab.
Told me that I should take it to any length. She's going to meet me there.
This group of coalition of Muslim organizations of Nigeria, among others, believe that there are many women with hijab at their places of work that distinguish themselves in their profession, and so debunk the fear that hijab is not a threat in Nigeria and the world.
Stand up for the rights of the girl child and not ask her to choose between her faith and education. For hijabophobia to be completely obliterated in our society, as it affects the social, economic, and political development of our country. Do not let our pride be your prejudice. End hijabophobia now.
Today, the world is standing in support of millions of Muslim women who choose to wear the hijab and live a life of modesty with the global celebration Hijab Day. After all, an American writer and social commentator, Roxane Gay, says, Some of us cover to protect our bodies. Some of us cover to protect our souls. In both cases, respect their choice. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
Happy World Hijab Day to our Muslim faithful. The Nigeria Police Force is engaging secondary school students on career development in the force to further widen their horizon on inherent opportunities. Security correspondent Francis Pham reports that the engagement took form of an enlightenment campaign in some selected schools in Abuja, where value reorientation came to the front burner.
It's very possible that you become a doctor and you join the police force. How many people here want to join the police force?
Reaching out to the young minds through sensitization on the functions and responsibilities of the force is the adopted strategy for the campaign, while appealing to their conscience to stay out of crimes that will hamper their ambitions.
If you say, I don't want to be a police officer, that means you are actually limiting yourself.
What is the nexus between a lawyer and the Nigerian police? The nexus is very simple: enforceability of that law.
Divine Michael of Maitama Model Secondary School and Ni'imat Abdul Hamid of Government Secondary School Garki and their colleagues share their experience.
I never knew you could be a doctor and also a Nigerian police, so I have learned there are different career opportunities.
My passion is actually to become a doctor, but I will see to it if I'm able to become a doctor with that of the police first.
Yes, I have intentions of joining the police after my WAEC and JAM.
They've actually told us more about what we needed to know.
With these testimonies, the perceptions of Divine, Neymats and others may have changed about the Nigeria police if there were doubts in their minds before the engagement. Principal of Model Secondary School Maitama and her counterpart at Government Secondary School Garki commended the police for the initiative.
What they want to be in the Nigerian police, the opportunity is there for them.
What we had to minimize criminality in the country.
The police says the campaign will be replicated in secondary schools across the Federation. In Abuja, Francis Pham, NTA News.
On the global scene, arrested Myanmar leader Aung San Suu Kyi has called for people of her country to protest against the country's military who overthrew her administration this Monday. Let's get the details with Justin Bam-Unye.
Myanmar's army seized power in an apparent coup on Monday, detaining the de facto leader Aung San Suu Kyi, along with members of her party, and declared a state of emergency for at least 1 year, signaling an end to the Southeast Asian nation's nascent democratic experiment. Following this development, Myanmar's detained leader Aung San Suu Kyi has urged the people not to accept the military coup. Suu Kyi's message was published on a Facebook account from Myanmar's National League for Democracy party few hours after the military coup. Consequently, hundreds of Burmese protesters holding portraits of Aung San Suu Kyi gathered in Tokyo, Japan to protest against the detention of the country's leaders in a sudden military coup. The demonstrators, wearing face masks and carrying flags, stood outside the United Nations University in downtown Tokyo and called on the international body to further condemn the Myanmar military's actions. In the meantime, the world has started reacting to this development as Japanese Foreign Minister expressed a serious concern about developments in Myanmar and called for the release of leader Aung San Suu Kyi, and Malaysia called on all parties to resolve any electoral dispute peacefully. Also, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres strongly condemned the detention of the country's civilian leaders. He expressed grave concern about the declaration that all legislative, executive, and judicial powers have been transferred to the military. Similarly, the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken also expressed grave concern in a statement and urged the military to reverse its actions immediately. In a statement, the U.S. urged the military leaders to release all government officials and civil society leaders and respect the will of the people of Burma as expressed in democratic elections on November 8. In a later development, the Rohingya community condemned the military power grab. Its leader, Dil Mohammed, described it as a heinous attempt to kill democracy. Meanwhile, Human Rights Watch Asia Advocacy Director John Sifton urged the U.S. and other countries to send a strong message to the military by imposing direct sanctions, just as European Council President condemned the military seizure of power in Myanmar and demanded that it release all those it had detained in raids across the country. China said that it hoped that all sides in Myanmar could properly manage their differences under the constitution and legal framework and uphold stability. And the United Kingdom's Prime Minister Boris Johnson joined the chorus of voices who are condemning the latest developments in Myanmar, as India's Ministry of External Affairs said it was concerned over the latest developments, adding that it was closely watching the situation. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
And we're done with Nationwide. We do appreciate your company, but let's keep the fight on against rape and rapists. All you have to do, connect with NTA. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.